Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Wishwell Farms. Fun fact, did you know that vegetable seed sales in North America alone is approaching $2 billion annually? With so many seed companies and seed dealers to choose from, it can be overwhelming knowing where to begin, especially if this is something new to you. So at the end of today's video, you will know exactly what seed varieties I am planting on my 60-acre Ohio vegetable farm, as well as the two seed companies that I will be purchasing all my seed from. Let's get started. All right, so these are the two companies that I am currently purchasing all of my vegetable seeds from. Gowan Seed Company and Rupp Seeds. So there's kind of a little bit of a story behind this. When I first started in the vegetable business full-time in 2001, I was buying exclusively from Rupp Seeds right here in my home state in Ohio. My dad actually had a seed salesman that sold him wheat that had left that company and went to Rupp Seeds. I was with them for probably 10 or 12 years, and then my seed salesman left Rupp's and went to Gowan. Now, Gowan is more nationwide. It's a lot larger company. As you can see here on this map, they have distribution centers all around the country. So when my seed salesman left Gowan about 3 years ago and retired, I was still purchasing most of my seeds from Gowan, but I started looking at Rupp again. And last year was the first year I ordered more from Rupp than I did Gowan. And this year, I plan on purchasing everything from Rupp Seeds. But there is one little exception to that. There are a few seeds that I can't get from Rupp that Gowan carries. So I'll show you those items when we get to it, but there are a few things from Gowan I still plan to purchase. So we're going to open up the catalog here, and you can see right on the inside cover of page 1 is their new products for 2025. So that's always fun to look at. And just giving it a quick glance down through here, I don't really see anything I'm going to be trying on the new products list except Justify green bean. I am going to be trying a little bit of those. Let's dive right in here. And then you see all their seed salesmen and all their staff that works in the office for taking orders. A bunch of frequently asked questions, which can come in very helpful for those of you who may be new to vegetable growing. All right, we're going to start right here on green beans. On my farm, Valentino is by far the best bean I have ever tried. There's the new one, Justify. I always start out with about a half acre of the BAO 999. It's a really early bean, but you got to be careful. That bean will form beans inside the pod very quickly. So you got to be on top of it. I missed it this year. In a period of 2 days, it filled with beans and they started getting squishy. It was unbelievable. So you got to watch that variety really closely, but it is a nice early variety that gets you started while you're waiting on your main full season varieties to ripen. I think I've grown all of these in the past, but we stick with Valentino. It is best on my farm. And like I said, I will be trying some Justify. And if we open the Gowan catalog to the beans, I've tried at least half of these that are listed here over the years, but they don't grow Valentino. Oh, one other company that I have dealt with in the past that I forgot to mention is Seedway. Seedway, and you can see I haven't purchased from them since 2019. They stopped sending me a catalog because I wasn't buying from them anymore. They're out of Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, and it looks like they also have a warehouse in Lakeland, Florida. So, decent sized company. A lot of the varieties are similar or the same as what Gowan and Rupp carry. But I have found some of their prices were a little bit on the high side, and that's why I quit purchasing from Seedway. If they had all the same varieties, why not purchase from the company that had the best prices and was in my home state of Ohio? Now, sometimes some of these larger companies like Gowan may not offer the variety you are looking for in the quantity you're looking for. For example, There's a watermelon seed I would love to buy from Gowan, but they only offer it in 5,000 seed increments, and I don't need 5,000 seeds. I would prefer to plant maybe 3 different varieties of 1,000 seeds each, or 2,000 seeds. So that is one example of why I might purchase my watermelon from Rupp instead of Gowan. Even though Gowan has a seed I prefer, it's just too big of a quantity, and watermelon seeds are not cheap. All right, so moving on. I will be planting some yellow green beans. Where are they at here? Yellow wax. I plant the SV103GF. That one did really good for me last year. And then, over here, it gives you the days of maturity, the pod length, some other things here, and then, it gives you a little description. Has better color and slightly longer pod than gold dust, with a more upright plant. I like that upright plant habitat. It keeps the beans up off the ground and makes it easier for machine harvest. Now, if you're not machine harvesting green beans, which most people aren't unless it's a commercial operation, it's probably not that big of a deal. But it is nice to have the beans stand upright and not be down on the ground in the dirt or really low to the ground. Makes it harder to pick, whether it's by hand or machine. Now, back here to Gowan, I did plant a purple green bean last year, sea line. You see that right there? Sea lime was a great purple bean. There's not too many purple ones out there, but I've decided not to do it this year. We're just gonna concentrate and focus on yellow and green. All right, let's see what's next. More green beans. There's something else I wanted to point out here. So, on page 1 of the green beans, these are your commercial varieties, like for the fresh market. It says right there, fresh market, and that's what larger vegetable operations will look at, the fresh market varieties. And then you also have these home garden varieties. So Rupp does cater quite a bit to gardeners. So these are more popular varieties that maybe home gardeners would recognize, like Blue Lake 274. Everybody knows what Blue Lake green beans are. It was it's a popular garden variety, it says right there. And a lot of these were like what do you call it? AAS winners or something like that. There, yeah, like right here, Kentucky Blue. It was an AAS winner. I can't remember what AAS stands for. I'll throw it up on the screen if I can find it. But it won some kind of award or competition, and a lot of times those are the ones that are more popular with the home gardeners. Then you have some other beans here like shelling beans, bush green flat beans, and some other things like that. Some French fillet beans, pole beans, lima beans, edible soy. We did try the Be Sweet 292 edamame beans, and I did try picking them with my picker. It didn't go so well. They were really low to the ground that year, and I ended up picking up lots of dirt and rocks with them. So I'm not saying that edamame wouldn't work with a green bean harvester, but it didn't work for me the year that I tried it. And we did try some half runners, but they are so viney that it just doesn't work well with the green bean harvester that I have, the BH100 from Oxbow. As far as green beans go, or any beans for that matter, I focus on regular bush snap green beans and the yellow wax beans. All right, next up, beets. Now this is one case where I will use Gowan. These are very popular beets. Everybody's heard of Detroit Dark Red. I've planted Merlin, Red Ace. I've planted the Detroit Dark Red, Bull's Blood. I've planted a lot of these, but what I don't like about these beets is they are almost like, the seeds are almost like little clusters of 2, 3, or 4 seeds. And you gotta thin them. So I didn't like that. So Gowan offers one. See if I can find it here real quick. Moneta. Monogerm seed. See that term right there? It's the only one that is a monogerm seed, which means it's a single seed. You don't have to thin them. So a lot of people direct seed their beets. Probably just about everybody does. We like to put ours on plastic mulch, and instead of direct seeding them, I will start them in my greenhouse in 72 count flats, pro trays, and we will transplant them into the plastic, and we don't have to deal with any weeds. It's great. But you got more time involved with seeding in a greenhouse and then transplanting instead of just direct seeding. But there's no thinning. That's what's really nice. So I will be trying some more Monetta this year. Next up is broccoli. I'll be planting Eastern Crown, Emerald Crown. I'm going to try some of this new Fortress. I'm not going to plant Green Magic. It's a great broccoli and it's early. The problem is not that it bolts, but it spreads out and gets larger beads really quick. I don't plant Hancock. I will be doing some Imperial, and I've never tried Millennium. I'm going to try it this year. So about 4 or 5 varieties of broccoli that I will be planting on our farm this year. Now, some of you may be wondering more detail, like how do I know when to seed these broccoli? How do I know how often to seed? How much time do I need to wait between seedings? When do you know when to transplant it? How much time do I give between different transplant dates so I have a continuous harvest of broccoli? I will be covering all of that in a future video. And here I have my my seed order, and this is the big one, my seeding and planting schedule. It lists all my varieties of everything I'm going to plant and transplant dates. And then here I have my planting guide, I call it, for my field. Each one of these rows on the spreadsheet represents a row in my field, and that helps me know where to plant everything. This is all stuff from 2024. I will be redoing all of it for 2025, and then I will show you guys all those details for 2025. But that is for another video. It's going to take some time to get all that ready, but I will be working on that over the next few weeks. Here's my green bean planting guide and my sweet corn planting guide. So yeah, all of these guides and planting schedules are very valuable information to me to know how much to plant, when to plant it, where it's going to go. All right, next up after broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Now, I used to plant a lot of Brussels sprouts. It's probably been 12 or 15 years since I planted them, though. Part of the reason I quit growing them is because it was a pain in the butt to pick them, and I never had enough labor on hand to get them harvested. Everybody was leaving for school, going back to high school or college, because I hire a lot of high school and college help. And it also would be pumpkin harvest season, when it was time to harvest Brussels sprouts. And it was just too much going on, so that was one thing it was easy for me to eliminate from my operation. But I have planted Jade Cross. I'm not sure if it was the Jade Cross E or the Jade Cross regular. And then a lot of people that have gardens are probably will recognize Long Island Improved variety. Not much to say on those. Cabbage. So I've had a lot of people ask me in the comments this year, why don't I grow cabbage? And I'm not going to rehash all of those reasons, but I have decided to grow cabbage again this year. After a decade hiatus from growing cabbage, I'm going to try it again. I'm not going to do a lot, but we're going to plant some these varieties that I recognize from years ago. Blue Vantage, Blue Dynasty, Platinum Dynasty, and Cheers. I've even planted Grand Vantage. So you can see they put a little symbol here that says new, if it's a new variety, and they put stars, yellow stars, by varieties that are really popular, that they sell a lot of, or that they would recommend that you plant. So I'll be planting about 3 or 4 varieties of cabbage this year. Just a couple rows, just to try it out, test the waters again, see how it goes. I think it'll be a good addition to go along with broccoli and cauliflower. If you're wondering why I'm not planting certain things, several reasons. One, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've kind of figured out what works best for me. I would love to have everything. Anything and everything that is offered. I would love to have it all. But I never have enough help to get it all picked. I don't want to pick it all. Some of it's not popular in the markets that I sell at, so I've eliminated them for that reason. But a lot of it is because I don't want to take the time to plant it and harvest it and try to sell it. So I've kind of concentrated on the items that work best for me on our farm and at our markets. That's a quick explanation of why I don't grow certain things like red cabbage, bok choy. I'm not going to be growing like collard greens and mustard greens and lettuce and spinach. Even though I've grown all that stuff, it didn't do well for me. Next up, oh, over here on this page we have red cabbage, Savoy cabbage, and looks like bok choy. I'm not going to be planting any of those. All right, moving on. Next page, carrots. So no carrots on our farm. Okay, moving on to cauliflower. You can see I circled some here. Synergy, Twister, and Shakaris. I'm not sure how you say that. And De Purple for our purple one, and Flame Star for our yellow. I have done graffiti before. Graffiti is a darker purple cauliflower. It's really pretty, but the germination was terrible for me for like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I was like, I'm done with graffiti. We're going to do De Purple instead. And I've had great success with it. Sometimes it is a little bit on the light, more of a lavender color, but a majority of them are pretty deep purple, just like graffiti. And over here at Gowan, there is one cauliflower that they offer that Rupp does not offer. And it is Sierra Madre. Let's see if they got a better picture of it here. They don't have a, oh, it's over here. Sierra Madre, right there. It was a good late one. I used to plant one called Absolute. I think that one's from Seedway. Here's the Seedway catalog. They have one, I believe it's called Absolute. It was a really good one, really late. So this Sierra Madre was really nice, but you have the Twister and Synergy and Shakaris. All excellent varieties. But I'm trying to just focus on buying all my seeds from the same company, or at least just 2 companies. Makes my life a lot easier. Placing orders, working with seed salesmen, and taking deliveries in. You know, it gets to be a little bit of a hassle working with multiple companies. All right, next up, I believe, is my favorite and how I got my start in vegetable production, farmers markets, all that good stuff, and that is growing sweet corn. So, just giving you a quick rundown on sweet corn. There's a lot of different types of sweet corn. There's regular standard varieties. There's sugary enhanced. There's SH2s. There's improved super sweets, also called augmented super sweets. So they're like improved SH2s. So they have more sugars and they're more tender, like the sugary enhanced. There's also synergistic or triple sweet. So there's all these different types of sweet corn. The genetics have improved so much over the years. That's all I'm going to get into that. Oh, here's another little explanation about it. So you got SU normal, SE, which is sugary enhanced, synergistic, SH2, and then you got the SH2 extra sweet, which are also kind of like improved super sweets. So it kind of explains all that right there in detail, but I'm not going to get into it any more than that. Let's just dive into my varieties. But here's all their varieties listed that they sell. And I go right to the improved super sweets, the augmented super sweets. They are the best eating, in my opinion, and all my family's opinion, and pretty much all my customers' opinion. So you do have to isolate those in different locations in your field or garden from, well, it wouldn't work in your garden because they got to be isolated by 500 feet. So you can grow these in your garden just fine. They are more expensive. The seed is not cheap. Here is the variety. So a lot of you would probably recognize varieties like butter and sugar or honey and cream, peaches and cream. You know, those are some varieties that have been around for years and years. And everybody knows what Silver Queen is. Some people swear by those old-fashioned varieties like Silver Queen, but we quit. You know, I don't know if I ever really grew it. I had it when I was a kid. But there are so many varieties that are so much better these days. But old-timers will still swear by the peaches and cream and Silver Queen and varieties like that. But they do not do well on a commercial farm that is growing sweet corn to make a living. So we stick with the augmented super sweets, the improved super sweets. It says right there. We start off with Bolt. So I'm going to go right down the list here. I'll tell you what varieties I'm putting in my field. Bolt is number 1. Kickoff number 2. I am going to try just a little bit of Solstice this year. I've never tried it. And then we move into Extra Tender 274A. I tried Ignition this year, but I think I'm going to skip it this year. I don't think I really liked it. It seemed like it had bigger kernels, but I don't know. I might put a little bit out if I have some left over from last year. I will be planting a little bit more Signature. Anthem is a great one. It's a little bit more on the crunchy side, but man, it yanks off the stalk. Just a little bit more difficult than some of the other varieties, but man, it is a good corn. Always produces a good big ear, even under stressed conditions. Xanadu, that is a wonderful variety. It is really similar to Nirvana. If you have them side by side with no stress, environmental stress, you almost can't tell the difference between Nirvana and Xanadu. However, if you have environmental stress of any kind, like a lack of rain, some grass pressure is the worst. Worse than broadleaves. Grass will kill Nirvana. So basically just a lack of rain and grass pressure will just destroy Nirvana's size and yield and make it almost not worth picking. However, Nirvana is one of the best eating sweet corns I've ever eaten in my life. Eaten? But Xanadu is right there with it, and it can handle the stress a little bit more. So out with Nirvana. I've tried Nirvana for like the last 4 years, maybe 5. I keep giving it another shot, and last year it was the worst ever due to lack of rain, and I had a lot of grass pressure there, and it was just terrible. So basically lost about 2 acres of sweet corn going with Nirvana, so no more. I do plant some Troubadour. I do not plant American Dream. I've had several people in the comments ask me about American Dream. I planted it 1 year. I did not like it. You know, if I'm going to plant a late variety of 77 days, I'm going to go with this new one called Cosmic. I'm going to give it a shot. And over here on Gowan, let's look at their sweet corn real quick. Let me find their improved super sweets. Forget if they're first or last. There they are. So you can see here they offer almost the exact same varieties. Bolt, Kickoff, Solstice, Extra Tender, Signature, Anthem, right down the row. I plant all of those, but not Nirvana. I'm not doing Superb. I tried some Epiphany last year. I'll probably do a little bit more again this year. Don't plant Redemption. So Stamina, I just wanted to try it last year to see, is it really 80 day? And it was a pretty late variety. However, where I planted Stamina last year is where I lost some corn. So for those of you who followed my channel closely last summer, I had a herbicide problem with a couple acres. I accidentally sprayed a post herbicide to clean up some broadleaves that were getting out of hand twice, and it fried 2 acres of sweet corn. And Stamina was one of those varieties. I did have a little corner of it that survived, and I got to see it. It was a taller corn. It was at least 7 feet tall, if not 7.5. Great big girthy ears, huge ears. But it was hard to twist and yank off the stalk. However, I am going to try just a small planting of it again this year to see how it does. That's about it. I don't plant any yellow anymore. It's the same deal as why I quit planting cabbage. I only had a handful of people that wanted yellow to freeze sweet corn. Caterers wanted yellow sweet corn. It was just such little demand. It was just a big headache to have 3 colors of corn to pick. And white. We quit growing white about 6 years ago, and believe it or not, I think it was the best decision I ever made. The demand for white corn was going down quite a bit, and it was just a hassle to go out and fill 2 wagons full of bicolor and then have nowhere to put white. So we'd have to come back, unload all the bicolor, and then go back out and pick a small load of white, or take a pickup out, or take our Polaris Ranger out and just get a couple tubs of white for the customers that wanted it. You know, white and yellow, white, solid yellow do look pretty, but as a commercial grower doing this full time, it's so much easier just to concentrate on one color, and that's bicolor. You get the best of both worlds. All right, that's enough talk on corn. You can see there's all their white. There's their yellow. Oh, that's the Gowan catalog. Let's go back to Rupp. Okay, I'm gonna fly through this a little bit faster here. Popcorn. I don't grow popcorn. Indian corn. I used to grow Indian corn for many years. It's probably been a decade since I have, but it is hard to find these days. So if you are into the fall stuff and growing pumpkins and gourds and all that stuff, probably a good idea to grow some Indian corn, because it's not easy to find. Not a lot of people doing it. Pickles. We are going to grow some. I've grown Calypso. I think this year we're going to grow Eureka. I usually bypass this section, but we're going to give them a shot this year. Cucumbers. I plant 3 varieties: Brickyard, Bristol, and Raceway. I've probably planted 25 different varieties over the years. I've planted all Seedway varieties. I've planted some Gowan varieties, but this year, sticking with what they have here in the Rupp catalog, they all did really well for me. Home gardeners will probably recognize this name, Straight 8. That's a popular home garden variety. I don't mess with burpless. I have before, but not anymore. Eggplant. Rupp does not offer any spineless eggplant. They will shred your hands if you're not wearing protection. So, well, I guess it's not that they have spines all over them. They have almost like thorns on the stalk. And you go to grab them without gloves, they poke you like a needle, like a thorn. So, Gowan has a variety that I like. Thanos. Your classic teardrop shape. There's Thanos. It's a beautiful, dark, glossy eggplant. And it says spineless, classic shaped. That's what I want. I don't plant any purple ones or white ones or long, slender ones. I have planted all those in the past, but not anymore. Moving on. Okay, we're going to skip the gourds and pumpkins because I don't plant them anymore. 2024 was the first year we did not grow a pumpkin crop. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but because I'm not growing pumpkins or gourds and all that stuff anymore, I'm not going to go over those. But if you have any questions about what my favorite varieties of pumpkins and gourds are, feel free to leave me a comment and I will give you my opinion or let you know what worked well for us. Not doing any kind of lettuce or spinach or leafy greens. I do plant Genovese, is that how you say it? Genovese? I thought it was Genovese. Genovese, or whatever it is. And I've planted Italian large leaf also in the past. So we grow these for potted sales to take to farmers markets to sell it in pots, 4-inch pots. And it's just something to add to our market mix to go along with our tomatoes early in the season. But we do not plant any in the fields. We usually sell out by the time we're ready to move into the fields. I've done lots and lots of herbs in the past, but not any longer, so I'm not going to spend any time talking about those because I don't really have much experience with those. I do not do kohlrabi. I think Bryan Farms and Veggie Boys both have good success growing kohlrabi. I don't have a market for it. I tried growing it once and could hardly sell any of it. So if you can't sell it, why grow it? Over here we have kale. I've grown a lot of kale in the past, but I haven't really for the last couple of years. I would prefer to grow it over spinach and lettuce because it holds a little bit better. So if you don't sell it all at one market, you can take it to the next day's market and it usually still looks fresh picked. We'll probably try some more kale. Let's see, what was my favorite variety? I think I've grown some Black Magic and some other ones that I don't see in here. Winter Boar, that seems to ring a bell. Maybe I was getting my kale from Gowan. That's probably the case. All right, moving on. I'm not going to talk about lettuce. I'm done with lettuce. Melons, oh, one of my favorite. I've grown probably 6 or 7 different varieties of melons over the last 20 years. Aphrodite and Avatar are my 2 favorite. Avatar is the largest melon available. There's not a bigger one out there. Aphrodite is a decent size. It's kind of similar to Athena. A lot of people know what Athena is. Aphrodite just is a little bit bigger and holds a little bit better, in my opinion. I've grown Solstice and some of these other ones, but we have settled just on Aphrodite and Avatar. For farmers markets, people want large melons, so we plant varieties that are going to give us a large melon. Now, there was a variety about 6 or 7 years ago called Verona. It was probably my all-time favorite, but for some reason they did away with it and no longer produce it. There are a lot of different kinds of melons, like honeydew and just specialty hybrids, but I don't mess with any of those. I will plant a little bit of honeydew, but other than that, we just stick to the regular orange, whatever you want to call them, normal cantaloupes. Oh, when it comes to honeydew, I've planted Tweety and where's the honeydew at? Early dew. Tweety and early dew. Early dew is a really early one, hence the name, and very fragrant, aromatic. You can really smell the honeydew flavor and sweetness by smelling a ripe one. They're pretty good. All right, okra. My daughter planted a little bit of okra last year. It was just something she picked up at a big box store. But this year I am going to try some actual good okra, do it on a little trial basis and see how it goes. I don't know what variety we're going to plant yet on the okra, but looks like a popular one here might be this jambalaya. Onions. I don't buy onions by the seed. I buy boxes with onion sets in bunches. They're about the size of your finger that are ready to put in the ground. So I can't speak on how to grow onions from seed. And I don't pick them as bunching onions either when they're small. We let them grow full size. We actually grow candy onion, this one right here. We get those from Dixondale Farms in Texas. So they are the ones that are seeding them, and then they harvest the starts and ship them out. Next up, peas. I'm not growing peas any longer. I didn't really do shelling peas, only a couple times. We grew sugar snap peas for probably 15 years. I've grown Cascadia, Sugar Ann, Sugar Snap. I've grown all these. Sugar Ann is a great early pea if you like sugar snap peas. And it's been so long since I've planted the other ones, I can't really speak on them much. But I do know Sugar Ann was one of my favorite varieties that I would plant again if I was to plant peas again. Now, if I had 35 kids coming out to help me pick my strawberries that I used to grow, they go right from strawberries into peas, and it worked out really well. But without growing strawberries and having all that labor force on my farm, it's hard to do peas. And my green bean picker does not harvest peas. I've tried it. It does not work. Peppers. We could talk an hour on peppers, but I'm just going to talk about the bell peppers that we're growing and maybe a few other ones. I've grown a lot of different peppers, but we have settled on this 1819. It's a number, PS 0994 1819. And I am going to grow some Aristotle this year. I have never grown that one, so I might try that one. I've grown Mercer and Nitro and Paladin. And the other one I grew last year that did really well was Redfish XR10. So it's got the highest disease resistance package available. Because it said, if you look real close, you can see that BLS 0 through 10. So it's got all of them 0 through 10, not just like this one here, 1 through 9, and this 1819 back here, it actually only had 1 through 5. I don't really have too many disease problems with peppers, so I'm not real worried about that, but if it's offered, I will get the best disease package on my peppers. So Redfish and 1819 gave me big, beautiful, blocky bell peppers last year. I don't do any yellow or orange ones anymore. I have in the past, and purple. Just too many things to pick and not enough demand for them. When it comes to all these other peppers, I will grow a jalapeno, a habanero, and we're going to do a banana pepper this year, like a medium to hot banana pepper. I'd have to go over to Gowan Seeds for the habanero. There it is. I like a red habanero. We plant Ray Pical. And then when it comes to jalapenos, oh shoot, what do I plant? Mammoth? Yeah. We do Mammoth. Mammoth is a great jalapeno. Medium heat. You can see the Scoville units are listed over here. 3,000 to 5,000, so just kind of average, low. It's not real hot, but it's a big, beautiful jalapeno. I love it. And for my banana pepper, I'll be planting the one with the yellow star that Rupp recommends, Sweet Sunset XR3. And right there. So it looks like it turns red. It's a yellow to red. Don't have a lot of experience with those for many, many years, so I can't give you any more recommendations other than that's the one we're doing. I would highly recommend just getting online and ordering yourself or asking for a Rupp seed catalog to be mailed to you, or you could just order it online at their website as well. All right, that's all we're going to talk on peppers. Unfortunately, we're not going to be talking about pumpkins. I do have a lot of good information on pumpkins, but this video is going to be going too long. I could talk about pumpkins for probably an hour. Pumpkins and gourds and winter squash and all that good stuff. I will touch on winter squash here real quick. So many, dozens and dozens, actually hundreds of varieties of weird, funky gourds and winter squashes. All different colors and shapes and sizes. There's radishes and spinach. Or is that just oriental? That's just radishes. No radishes anymore. Okay, squash. I plant spineless perfection. It's a spineless plant. I don't like my arms and hands to get tore up. Neither do my employees, getting their arms and hands tore up when they reach into the plant. So you can see how pretty these are. This is exactly what they'd look like. Long, sleek, glossy, smooth zucchini. Spineless perfection. I've also done the spineless supreme and spineless beauty. I'm not going to go into all the details here, but spineless perfection, I think they're basically all the same. But spineless perfection is the one we plant. We're going to be trying some yellow squash again this year. I skipped last year. We're going to be planting some blonde beauty. I've planted fortune for many, many years. However, fortune is not spineless. So if you look over here on blonde beauty, spineless petioles. Provides less painful picking. All right, next up, more winter squash. So same with all these other ones. They eat great and they look beautiful. And if I was planting pumpkins, I probably would plant more of these items, but we have just settled on butternut and spaghetti. So for our butternut squash, we plant Better Nut 900 and Quantum. Those have both done really well for us over the years, and I think we'll probably settle on those. I was just looking at this Ultra. You know, it's got a little star here. Maybe I will try some Ultra and see how I like it. And then when it comes to, I don't plant any delicatas or anything like that. I plant Primavera spaghetti squash. That is a great variety. All right. I don't mess with any kind of flowers. Tomatoes. This is a big one. So here's all your home garden varieties that everybody recognizes. Better Boy, Big Beef, Celebrity, Big Boy, you know, Early Girl. Everybody knows those varieties. Now, when I planted bedding plants or had plant sales back in the day, I planted all of those and I would sell those. But when it comes to my field, my varieties, I plant fresh market varieties and they're totally different. They have a better disease package. They're determinate, which means they have like a determined height that they grow. They only grow about chest to neck high on me. And they're staking tomatoes. You stake them up with a wooden stake and weave strings between them to hold them up off the ground if you want them off the ground. I don't do mine like Broyans or Veggie Boys. I want my tomatoes up off the ground and trellised. It's well worth it for me. I've tried them on the ground and they just sprawl everywhere and get dirty and more diseases and bugs and everything else. So I plant Rambler, Red Snapper. I did some BHN 964 last year. I'm not going to this year. I didn't really like the shape of them. I've planted all these before, but these are the ones I'm settling on for this year. Carolina Gold is my yellow one. It's a nice yellow tomato. I've also done one called BHN 871. More varieties over here. I love Roadster, Skyway 687, STM 2255. And then for my grape tomato, I plant Ruby Crush. It is a determinate grape. So it's, like, again, it's only, in the greenhouse, it does grow about 7 feet tall, almost 7.5. But an indeterminate variety is never going to stop growing. Those are the ones that'll grow 20 feet long if they have a long enough growing season, enough sunlight, enough heat. And they'll flop over, and you got to have a way to hold them up if you want to keep them off the ground. One that's not in here that I will be purchasing from Seaway is Red Deuce. I haven't planted Red Deuce for probably a decade, and I touched on this in my last video, I think. I want to see how it does in one of our greenhouses in cocoa bags, coconut core bags. All right, we're almost through here. I plant Mariana Roma tomato, and that's about it on tomatoes, it looks like. There's hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. And it's so fun to grow them all, but you know, I've kind of settled on my favorite 5 or 6, and those are the ones we stick with. But I always trial a new one every year. I will definitely point it out in the field this year, any new ones that I try, and I'll give you guys my opinions of those tomatoes. All right, this is near the end of the catalog. Watermelon, seedless watermelon. Man, I love growing seedless watermelon. I love eating them even more. It's just fun picking something big. That's why all the kids that work for me love picking cantaloupes and watermelons. That's everybody's favorite job because it's a big item. It fills up your container quickly, and you get to eat them. If you drop one, we break it open and eat it. Or if we're testing them out to see if they're ripe, everybody stands around and takes a bite and eats them and kind of tests them out and lets me know their opinions. That's many reasons why people love picking the melons, as do I. When it comes to melons, I do not plant any seeded watermelons anymore. I only plant seedless, and it's one of those cases where I just didn't have demand. Now, in some markets, there's a huge demand for seeded watermelons, but I have less than a handful of people ask for them the entire growing season. So it's always seedless watermelons is what our customers want. Okay, so on the seedless watermelons, I've planted a lot of these varieties over the past. I'm going to try some yellow seedless this year. It's been about 15 years since I've grown yellow seedless, so we're going to try some Amarillo or Golden Crisp. I haven't decided yet. El Capitan is one of my favorite seedless watermelons. I like one with a dark green stripe. Doesn't really show it good in the magazine, but you can see it's kind of like this one here on the Golden Crisp. It has a really dark rind, not a lighter green rind. We've had problems with ours getting bleached out from the sun if we don't have a good enough cover of plant material. So we stick to the darker rind pattern, not the almost black ones or the dark green ones. Solid dark green. We like the stripes, but we like the darker stripes. All right, here's a pretty good picture of El Capitan in the Gowan catalog. See how dark that is compared to these other ones? These are your standard lighter green stripe, like the crimson stripe they call it. This is a lot darker. Holds a really good color out in the field, even on hot, sunny days, if you don't get them all picked right away. Let's see, where's red garnet at? I don't see it anywhere. Oh well, it looks the same as El Capitan. But I want to try some Fascination and maybe even try a little bit of Powerhouse or Sandbar this year. And believe it or not, that is it. Rupp Seed and Gowan Seed. Check them out. Alrighty folks, there you have it. Those are all the seed varieties that I will be planting on my Ohio vegetable farm in 2025, as well as the 2 seed companies that I will be purchasing all of my seed from. Hopefully this has given you some ideas of new varieties to try on your own vegetable operation or in your home garden. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see y'all again real soon down on the farm.